morning, and as Monica said, I'm Orla and I'm chair of the Customer Services Group, and we are a group of 11, and typically we're made up of library staff across the universities that work in public services, outreach, engagement, information services, user experiences, reader and borrower services. And I suppose as far as Colin groups go, we're relatively new. We were established in 2016. And I suppose we were just getting into our stride when COVID hit. I won't read all of our names out, but just to say I am just the chair of an amazing group that makes up the committee. And you can read who we are there on the screen. But I would like to take the opportunity to thank a couple of past members, Anne Byrne in UCC, Laura Connaughton in Maynooth, and Joanna Archibald, formerly of RCSI, who've moved on to better things, but who contributed hugely to the work of the group over the years. And a quick shout out to our new members, Michaela, Michelle, and Claire. The terms of reference of the group are up on the screen, and of course they're there on the fantastic new website. I won't read them out, but I will highlight a few areas. Our primary focus, I suppose, is best practice for public and customer services. We're a forum for discussion. We look at impact and user experience, and just to stress that that is for all users. And we identify emerging customer service roles, exploring the use, design and evolution of library spaces. And I suppose those last two new roles and the evolution of spaces have a whole new meaning now in 2021. How do we support the central themes of the Common Strategy? I suppose we're responsible for leading on environmental and sustainability issues, primarily, but of course not exclusively, in relation to how we manage our spaces, our buildings, waste, green campus initiatives, and we explore ways in which we can work together on that and share practice. And it's so important, I suppose, that we put that issue front and centre again. We look at access policies, access issues, and more than just access schemes. This is all about ensuring equal access and thinking about EDI, BAME, disability, disadvantage. You know, some of our users are struggling. A lot of our students are working part-time, or shockingly working full-time. And how do our services, our opening hours, our circulation policies impact on our students? And again, what can we do collectively and in collaboration in that area? We focus on staff development in partnership with T&D, of course. But how do we ensure that our staff at our customer service desks, whether it's in real life or virtually, are equipped to deal with issues that arise? Training on neurodivergent students, for example, ensuring equality, diversity and inclusion, coping with the difficult customer and so on. The committee is currently exploring the idea of running lunchtime seminars over the next academic year for front of house staff who have those customer facing roles. So what have we been up to recently? One of the first pieces of work as a committee we did as a committee was to explore customer service excellence standards. Focusing in particular on the standard in operation in the UK. We conducted a review of the ALCID Cooperative Access Scheme, and the ALCID membership card, of course, gives access to the participating libraries across the island of Ireland. And we established our biennial show and tell seminar. And I'm not just showing you this picture so we can all start to imagine where we'll be in a couple of months, bliss, but I suppose just to illustrate what the preoccupation of the customer services group was before the pandemic hit, back when we were worried about the academic library equivalent of reserving the deck chair, which was seat hogging, and DCU instigated our seat management initiative about a year before COVID hit. And I think it was the first time I realised how the Commonwealth Customer Services Group could really be, could be of real benefit. I think it was UL who were the first to instigate a seat management policy, and a lot of us followed suit shortly after that. UCC had their space hogs, and we in DCU had our Share the Chair initiative. The group mailing list, our meetings and the sharing of experience on the ground was invaluable. But again, I didn't really understand how valuable that would be until March 2020. In March 2020, the customer services group morphed from the picture on the left to the picture on the right when the meetings became support groups effectively. Our business model was turned completely upside down. And I'm not going to say the P word, I'll let the picture do the talking, but the Conal libraries mobilised incredibly quickly. When you think that most of the COVID services were up and running by June 2020, Conal libraries should be incredibly proud. Overnight, we went from teaching self-sufficiency to providing effectively a table service. And we found ourselves doing things at the service desks that we would never have dreamt of before. And one of the first projects the customer service group worked on closely together at this time was setting up a free postal return service for our users. When we finished the second semester in 2020, I think we quickly realized we needed to get our books back. For the first 2 or 3 months of the pandemic, we had eased our loan limits, borrowing rules, and in many cases we had suspended fines, I suppose, to give the best possible service we could under such dire circumstances. But it meant that we all had a lot of stock out on loan at a time when users didn't have the incentive to return the stock necessarily, or even they weren't allowed to travel, I suppose, past their 5K. We worked with Post, who offered us a very reasonable flat rate per parcel, and collectively the group were able to work together to set up individual services, but by sharing the issues that were coming up for us day to day. But it really has been a year like no other. The group have been gathering some statistics, and some of the figures are unbelievable, and allowing for the fact that some libraries only had click and collect available for 2 or 3 months, or some allowed browsing, some didn't. Some of us were moving into new buildings, shout out to TU Dublin, or adding new libraries like we were in DCU. But the numbers are staggering. We issued over 100,000 items through our various click and collect services. And for those of us who managed seat booking systems, we processed over 500,000 seat bookings. So talk about developing new skills and new roles. So we've seen in the last year how our users value our spaces. And the importance of the physical library, and of course that will continue to be a priority for us. But the pandemic has also changed what access means, and this will have a bearing on the work we do on this committee. The challenge for us now is how to provide the best service on campus and online. We need to examine the skills we require for that, the upskilling requirements, the training for frontline staff. The staff in public services are expert in areas that they didn't know existed 15 months ago. What have we learned? We're all beginning the process of reviewing the last year and making plans for the next year. And we in the customer service group need to know how we can support that work, and what will our new service look like. So one of the first items on the agenda for our next meeting will be exploring the possibility of a national book returns campaign, working together to get as many of our books back as possible, and exploring the idea of a joint comms message. And we're planning for our lunchtime seminars. This talk was called Knowing Us, Knowing You, and this is where we need to know you, especially those of you who work on the front desks. What can we do for you? What content would you like to see in the lunchtime seminar series? You know our customers well. What support do you need from the customer services group? And of course, we're really looking forward to our seminar on the 6th of July, which is a show and tell event, which will showcase customer service initiatives that have been implemented in our libraries in the last while. So the call for presenters went out last Friday. So please keep an eye on the Conal website, and Gurra Mila Mahab.